We are drawing closer to the verdict in the sexual assault case involving 5 former World Junior hockey players. The defense have now wrapped up their case, and soon the decision will be in the hands of a judge. Our Michelle Mackey has been following this case very closely, in fact, since the beginning, Michelle. When we look back to the calendar, April 22nd is when a lot of this began. So can you take us through some of this timeline?
Yeah, well, let's talk about the workings of the trial itself, because we know that the first trial was declared a mistrial. They had to get a brand new jury after only a couple of days. They started the second trial, and then just a couple of weeks ago, the judge ruled that that jury had been tainted, and it was a judge-alone trial, and that's where we're at now.
Okay, so if you're following along, there were a number of witnesses that took the stand. Let's start with the complainant herself, spending 9 days on the stand, referred to as EM only. Can you talk about the allegations from her standpoint?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, what EM says happened to her is on the night of June 18th in 2018, she was out with some coworkers she didn't know too well. She had many drinks at a bar, and that's where she met Michael McLeod, who she knew as Mackey at the time. The two agreed to go back to the London Delta Armories Hotel. They had consensual sex. After this, EM says that without her knowledge or consent, more men entered that hotel room, as many as 10. She said her mind left her body as she performed sexual acts that she was asked to do. She says she was scared. There was talk allegedly of golf clubs being used inside her and golf balls as well. She said that scared her, and that was one of the moments she really felt like she disconnected from her mind and was just kind of going through the motions. So through the course of the night, she says that she gave oral sex to a number of men, that she had sex in a bathroom with one man, that her bum was slapped, again, all without her consent. And at the end of the night, she says she left the room when she was more or less asked to leave. And she got in an Uber, she went home, she was upset at home, and her mom contacted the police. So that's what EM says happened that night. She says it was without her consent. She says, again, that she was just going through the motions.
Of those 9 days on the stand, of which you were listening to all of this testimony, 7 of it was cross-examination, and also some supporters outside the courthouse as well for the complainant. So there was a lot going on there. But now let's go to the other side. We heard from 4 of the 5 accused in different formats. So can you break down maybe what some of them might have said or how any of this was presented in court?
Yes. So we heard from Michael McLeod in a police interview from 2018. We also heard from Alex Fermenton in a police interview from 2018. These were on video, so that was played for the court. We then heard an audio recording of an interview with the detective at the time in 2018 who was leading this London police investigation, and that was a phone call with him and Dylan Dubé. That detective was on the stand. He said he also had a phone call with Cal Foote, but that was not played for the court. So at that point, we had only heard that, 4 of the accused had been interviewed. Carter Hart, however, then took the stand. So he was the only one of the accused players to actually take the stand. And by doing that, he opened himself up to cross-examination, which the other players did not, because these were just previous interviews.
Okay. Also taking the stand, someone or people who were not part of the charges. They were used as witnesses. Can you break down who we heard from and why?
There were 4 teammates who are not charged in this case that were in the room at some point in the night, and the Crown called those 4 players as witnesses. So we had Boris Kachuk, we had Taylor Radish, and they were the first 2. They said that they kind of entered the room and left quickly. So they said they weren't there when, the vast majority of men were in the room. Then we heard from Tyler Steenbergen, and that was a really interesting one because of all of the witnesses, he seemed to have the best memory of everything that happened in the room. So he is no longer a professional hockey player. He works for his dad's construction company out in Alberta. The other 3 we heard from are pro hockey players. And the final one we heard from was pro hockey player Brett Howden. So he testified virtually from Vegas, where he plays for the Golden Knights. And that was a really, I think, challenging question period for the Crown, if you will, because they said it didn't go how they thought it was going to go. He seemed to have a very poor memory. He said he couldn't remember things that he had even said in prior statements or prior texts. He did, however, remember quite clearly, as he said, that EM was asking for sex in the room and then almost egging the men on, allegedly, when they wouldn't, calling them, at one point, pardon my language, quote, pussies.
You mentioned that we heard from London police. We heard from more than one detective. Can you talk a little bit about why they were called when it comes to some of their testimony?
Yeah, so we heard from the original detective, Detective Newton, who closed the first case in early 2019. He was called as a Crown witness, and the Crown basically got him to admit that he had never seen a number of text messages that were quite crucial in this current case. He never sent EM's clothes for forensic testing. He said he never reviewed any of the security footage from Jack's bar before interviewing the players. And then that was really interesting because there was a lot of discussion about what he did not do.
So this is all now going to go to the judge alone. Submissions are set to get underway next week. We're going to hear from the lawyers again in the finality of this case, or at least as it stands, the finality of it. What are we expecting to hear?
Okay, so we need closing submissions from both sides. Defense has said that they'll need about 1 to 2 hours each to go over their closing submissions, and the Crown will be taking a full day. So I would expect this would take about 2 to 3 days. Because this is now a judge-alone trial, this is going to be likely months before she renders her verdict. Now, it is going to take longer to get a verdict, but there's a benefit here. We will be able to know why she comes to a verdict. She will make that public. If it was still a jury trial, we would have a verdict sooner. They're sequestered. It typically takes a few days to a week, but we would only get a guilty or not guilty. We would never know why they came to that decision.
Okay, so there is a lot to watch in the next week and potentially months to come. We don't know. Michelle Mackey, really appreciate you joining us and breaking this all down. I know a lot of people have been following this case and there are a lot of intricacies to it. If you are looking for more information, I do encourage you to go to our website, citynews.ca, where Michelle has been doing some really excellent reporting with our City News team with all the details there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.